Oh, yeah.
Fish on.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Good night. Look at that tank.
That's a toad, brother.
Golly.
That's right. It's a toad. Man, it has been a past crazy weekend for you. So tell us a little bit about your fun adventures that you had going down.
All right, so let me do this right and talk about it at the front of the podcast, everything we're going to talk about at the podcast, and then I'll get into that.
All right, cool.
So we're going to talk about the AmBASSador Series Championship updates, kind of the concept behind that, the events up, all that good stuff. Registration's open. We're going to talk about a little bit about the National Championship format update, but not that much. We'll talk about this team concept with the AmBASSador Series Championship and the Top Team Challenge Cup, because there's 2 opportunities to fish as a team remaining this year. We're going to talk a little bit about the Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame, which I spent the weekend at. I was invited out there to be the guest speaker, keynote speaker, whatever you call it. And then those storms coming through Dallas got me stuck there 3 days in a row, getting my flights canceled. So if I look like I haven't slept worth the crap in 3 days, it's because I haven't slept worth the crap in 3 days. And yeah, so and then we're going to do a Catch-22 challenge update, as well as do the giveaway for the Catch-22 challenge $500 gift certificate. I sent a mass message out to everybody and said I was going to do 2 $500 gift certificates from Fish USA and 1 $100 gift certificate, but barely anybody posted on social per my instructions. So I'm going to roll one of those $500 gift certificates over to the next drawing on the 22nd. So we're going to finish out the year every 22nd of the month. We're going to do a big drawing for gift certificates. Next month, I'm going to take it up to, let's say, $1,200 minimum.
Wow.
So that's just for having completed the Catch-22 challenge. It doesn't matter how big the fish are. It doesn't matter if you're in first place. It's just that we're going to draw 2 $500 for anybody that's completed the 22 fish of any size. And then we're going to do 2 $100 drawings for anybody that's even entered. You don't even have to have entered a single fish. And I may add even more to that. We got a few podcasts between now and the 22nd. But at a minimum, I'm going to do $1,200.
So right now, anybody can join Catch-22 and try to get in on
Anybody can join Catch-22. A lot of people have misunderstood it, thinking you have to do what I do, which is to try to catch 22 fish in 22 different states.
No.
You only have to catch 22 fish in the state you're in, or 22 fish anywhere. You can also sign up for the anywhere, where you can catch 22 fish in multiple states, in 22 fish in a combination of states, or 22 fish in one state. And each time you complete that, you get the dog tag. And then on the Fish Ops Catch 5, you catch 5 fish of a predetermined length. You get the T-shirt, you get the challenge coin, and then on the 5th of every month, we're also going to be doing giveaways.
So can they double dip? Can they do the
Of
fish
course
off
they can
and-
double dip.
Of
That's
course.
the idea.
Okay.
Is we really plan on stacking money here, so you can stack money more next year with KBF, and we'll talk about that a little bit with the AmBASSador, Series Championship. But yeah, so let me just, I guess, so now that everybody knows what all the topics are going to be, we're also going to do a good Q&A. But what we're going to do today is we're going to do the Q&A in the middle instead of all the way at the end like we normally do. So that way, maybe some of the questions that get asked in the Q&A, I can answer instead of waiting till the end. So the questions may even make the topic better. So let me talk about my trip out to the Hall of Fame. Man, I got to tell you, I was blessed, honored, humbled, felt undeserving, whatever you want to call it, to get inducted into this Hall of Fame last year. I actually was supposed to be class of 2020, and then that got canceled because of COVID. So then they rolled it into last year, and I ended up getting inducted last year with kind of like, almost like a double class. And then this year, they invited me to come back out and do the speech. And I did my speech covering comfort and how we're over obsessed with being comfortable, and how we're over obsessed with being happy and stimulated, and how all the crap that's on social media is a big facade, and it builds up a pretty big misconception about what life really is. But I also talked to the older folks in the audience, of which there were many, because again, it's the legends of the outdoors,
Right.
and said, if we're going to get this next generation fired up about fishing, we got to get hunting and fishing in the outdoors. We got to get where they're looking. We've got to create the content that's compelling. We've got to stop being resistant to TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram and all of those things. And therefore we can stay in front of that younger audience, and we can get the message out there for, basically for being outdoor evangelists. So for any of you guys that want to see that speech, it's on Facebook, on the Legends of the Outdoors Facebook. I'll try to find it and link it up in the description box after this video is not live anymore, when I think about it. Or if any of you knuckleheads out there can go find it in the Metasphere, grab the link and throw it in the comment section, I will be forever in your debt. It was a pretty good speech, I think. I actually forgot my glasses. So I had spent about a week writing this thing, and a lot of people don't know this, but I'm old, as you can see here.
Nah.
And so
no way.
I still can tie knots and I can still see far, but I've started to get that like old man, like look at the phone thing. So I have to have these readers. So of course I get up there, I'm in front of like the legends of the outdoors, past and present and future. And I forgot my glasses in the hotel room. And so I had my speech there, but I couldn't read it because it was in like 10 pitch or 10 font. And I was like, heck with it. I just winged it. But when you write it out, you got all your thoughts kind of in your head. So it made it a little bit easier than just a blatant winging it. So it was good, man. I had met some really cool people. Looking forward to the future of that organization and being a part of it wherever and whenever I can. But yeah, that was Saturday. Flew in Friday. We had a meet and greet at the Bass Pro Shops, the main headquarters in Springfield.
Right.
A lot of people showed up for that. There was a lot of fans. There was a lot of the legends, both past and present. You could walk around and it was the who's who, like, oh, there's that person. There's that person. A lot of folks taking pictures, all that good stuff. And
that had to be pretty surreal. I mean,
dude,
like,
here's
you were
the
there.
other thing.
You were there to receive an award the year before, and then you're there to do the speech. Like, that's just
and I don't get pressured much, but it was a lot of pressure, man. Like, Ray Scott passed away this past year, and there was a big thickness in the air about that. His family was there. They had brought some items to auction for the Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame, and I had pretty much determined that the one thing that I kicked myself about with my relationship with Ray Scott over the years was never asking him for one of his hats. He's like, his hat is iconic. He's known for that hat. And so I show up to the Hall of Fame thing, and luckily I had sold some stuff a couple weeks ago, some stuff I didn't need anymore, some extra gear, we'll call it that. And so I had a little play Chad money, and I had planned on, like, every year at this auction, there's something I wish I could bid on and I never did.
right.
And so we had always sponsored the Hall of Fame and a few other, seasons. And this year, with things being tough, we just didn't have the capital to do it. And so therefore I felt also a little bit obligated to participate in the auction. Well, they do a few smaller items and get it warmed up, and then they bring out Ray Scott's family. They bring out his hat, his vest that he wears, and a lot of the on the screen iconic Bassmaster Classics weigh-ins, and then his jacket. And I didn't really know that I cared too much about the jacket, but I really wanted the hat. So when the hat came up, I was like the first person to bid on it. And this guy behind me starts bidding on it. And I pretty much, like, after he went to, like, I don't know, $300, I just looked over my shoulder and went 500. I was kind of letting him know, like, dude, I'm going to do, like, whatever it takes to get this hat. And luckily, or whatever you want to call it, because obviously the idea was to raise money for the foundation. But so I got the hat for $500, and then I just decided I wanted the jacket, not the vest. I didn't necessarily want the vest. I when I met Ray, like the first or second time he had that brown leather jacket with the shredded, string, it was a jean jacket. Right. And I just wanted that jacket. And I said, well, I'll go in for whatever I can on that one. And that one got out of hand because people know him for that jacket.
Right.
And I ended up spending more than I really planned. But I am happy to say that I will be creating a place in the KBF headquarters where there is a Ray Scott hat. It's the last hat that he wore and the jacket that he wore in most of the pictures. If you've ever gone to his place when he's with George Bush and George Sr. Yeah. And so it's just a piece of bass fishing history. And I got that.
Let's see. I got you here. I got the file. The link is in the description over here.
Okay.
But I mean, you're looking pretty sharp, brother. I mean,
Lord. I mean, you can polish it. Anybody can polish a turd. Look at that thing. Yeah. You know what's funny is I asked Chrissy, I'm like, hey, can I wear a ball cap? And she's like, no. I'm like, come on. It's who I am. She's like, no, you can't. And I was like, all right, fine.
Nah, it looks good. You look good.
Half the dudes come up there with ball caps on, and I'm like, man, I could have rocked my ball cap with my suit jacket on.
Heck, half of them probably came with ball caps and sunglasses. So,
I know. Michael Waddell had his dang on ball cap on and hunting boots with his suit. So it was pretty much what he did was what I thought I should have done. So anyway, y'all can go watch that and tell me what you think. I actually think I'm going to redo the speech for the YouTube channel and kind of temper it more towards a broader audience than just for those folks that were in that room, because I do think it's an important message. Yeah. A really good friend of mine's mom, a really good friend of mine texted me that his wife said, hey man, my wife said you sounded like you were delivering a sermon. Good job, Reverend Chad. And then another friend said, hey, my mom said, tell you, great job, preacher. And I was like, so two different people are pretty much right after the speech was over texted me to say.
Well, I mean, when Chad Hoover gets up there in a jacket behind a podium, I mean, it's going to look like a reverend up there.
We're going to hold church. So anyway, yeah. And when you sound country, you sound like a Baptist preacher, whether you want to or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we had a good time there. And then I, of course, had a later flight because I wanted to stay and try to squeeze in some fishing. And it ended up being hot as Mars there. So the fishing wasn't that great. Caught a few dinks. There's some ponds that are in town around the Bass Pro Shop. I don't recommend that you try to fish them like I did. Because you're not really, I don't know if you're supposed to. So let me rephrase that. They're difficult to fish. So it was hot. I caught a couple fish. I got that itch scratched, and then I spent the rest of the time at the hotel. Went to the airport. Flights were canceled because of all the flooding and storms in Dallas. So y'all do me a favor and add the folks in Dallas to your prayers, because man, they have got some horrendous flooding over there right now, and I think they're still dealing with some more storms, and there's maybe even some more coming at the end of the week. So it was an inconvenience for me having to reconnect with flights, and I ended up spending 3 more days in Springfield and literally just got home. Like, I think when I dialed in for this 30 minutes ago, I told you I just got home. So I'm back home now, or back at the trailer. I'm not at home, but I'm back at the HQ, baby. The man cave. So yeah, that was the Bass Pro Shop experience. It's always cool and interesting at the same time to go walk around that big Bass Pro Shop, because, you know, when you're a content creator in fishing, yes, you'll get recognized at a gas station here and there, right, or you'll get recognized at the Waffle House every now and then, or at the Walmart. But man, when you go to Bass Pro Shop, like, people
know it. People
and
know
then you screw up and wear your KBF hat on top of that, where it was like, so, but it was cool. Like, it really was cool. Like, the Ozark people, or the people from the Ozarks, are some of the most down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth people in the world. You know what I mean? They are hardworking. Just, you know, I mean, I guess there's all types, and they get a bad rap from like the stupid the Netflix series, The Ozarks, and, you know, kind of like an over representation of the whole meth thing, which is pretty much everywhere in the country, you know, at this point. But man, the Ozarks are beautiful, and the people there are amazing. So I had a good time, even though I had to spend more time there than I wanted to. Finally made it home. Had to go to Charlotte and back down instead of going through Dallas. But yeah, made it back to Alabama.
Alabama.
Old Fluke Master's coming over here at the end of the week, and we're going to start doing some collaboration videos. Going to ratchet that content creation back up. I am releasing the heck out of these Catch-22 videos. And so I want to say this for the folks that are watching. These videos are coming out all kinds of out of order because I was running around the country with a camera on the front, a camera on the back, and filming as much as I could. And then I handed it all over to Austin when I got home, and he's had to sort through that. And he has done a great job of pulling out the pieces and putting together the stories. But a few times he's been like, oh, man, I edited that one video and you released it. And then this video, it talks about going there next. But so you guys will just have to forgive me for the inconsistency in the storyline. But I do want to get as many of the tips and sharing those adventures out there with you guys as I can. So back in Alabama, getting ready to go fishing again, getting a lot of questions about the AmBASSador Series Championship, getting a lot of questions about the national championship format. And I will tell you this, on championships, all you have to do is go to kayakbassfishing.com/championships. And all the details are there for the national championship, Trail Series Championship, and Challenge Series Championship. I am currently working on an AmBASSador Series page, and I'm working on pages for each of the series. And then we'll have an info tab on the home page probably in about a month that lets you go to the series overview for each of those overviews or each of those series. And then we're going to simplify the heck out of things next year. So even more.
So I think it's you led right into it. Let's go ahead and let's start talking
some
about
questions.
No, you got some questions, but it's a lot about Catch-22, honestly.
Okay.
Before
we do that, then let's bring up the Catch-22 challenge page, because I want to show folks something that I did not have my finger on the pulse. I still have about 8 states that I've got to go in and load because I've just been so busy that I've taken all the pictures, I've done the trips, I've caught the fish, I've shot the videos. I've just got to force myself to sit down and load them all to Fishing Chaos. I was just traveling so much and on the water, getting off the water at 10 o'clock at night, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, that I just didn't have it. But I want you to focus right there in the center of the screen. So far we have 406 entries in the Catch-22 challenge. So after admin fees and what it cost us to run it through Stripe, we're a little under $8,000 in how much we've raised. We're barely breaking even right now because of the shirts and the coins and the dog tags. But we're planning to still write a pretty good check for the folks at Mission 22, which I'm rocking their shirt tonight, for the end of the season. But here's what I really want you guys to do. Help me spread the word about this, because the more people we can get at this point, we've kind of covered the base core cost. I am not going to be, we don't have to buy the shirts again. We don't have to buy the dog tags again. We have that stuff covered now. So the more we can get those out there, the more money we can raise for Mission 22, and potentially the more lives that we can save. But what's really cool about this, which is going to allow me to even get more sponsorships from here on out, and for next year, especially when we rerun this thing, is look how many fish have been caught.
Yeah.
11,169. So
crazy.
I called Fishing Chaos founder John Callagaz earlier in the week, and I said, hey, man, just out of curiosity, what's the most fish that's ever been entered into a single event in Fishing Chaos? And he was like, well, why are you asking? Because it's different types of events. I said, well, the Catch-22 challenge is getting pretty big, and we really haven't pushed it that hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we do push it that hard, we can make it the biggest event ever on the platform. He said, well, I would feel comfortable saying that if you could break 10,000, that it would be the biggest event we've ever had. So I opened up the app, and we were already at like 10,400. So just since then, we've jumped up to 11,000. So I want to challenge the folks that are already fishing in the Catch-22 challenge. Enter your fish. Even if you caught your 22 and the fish is smaller, just go ahead and enter them. Because now I really want to make this into a spectacle where we can show off the sheer volume of entries that we can get an event like this. And that sheer volume of entries shows the amount of interest, which allows me to go to sponsors and raise more money to put a bigger carrot on the stick for you guys competing in this series. We've done the heavy lifting now. Now's the time to take it across the finish line. So I'm just going to set an arbitrary goal to say, let's double this, because ironically enough, if we can double this, we're at 22,000 fish. And I think there's a lot of people that are sitting on fish. I think there's a lot of people that haven't signed up yet because they don't quite understand it. But you can sign up and catch 22 fish in your state, and you're automatically eligible to win our big giveaway at the end of the year on December 23rd after the last 22nd. But what I've decided to start doing now is every 22nd of the month, which was yesterday, so we're doing the drawing today, we're going to do a giveaway for people who've completed the challenge along the way, not based on biggest fish, even though it's going to look like it for today's drawing. I did the randomizer, and the person that won it's got a big total. He's actually second in his state, so he wasn't first. But the idea was just anybody that's completed 22 and then anybody that's entered a single fish. So I did 500 for out of all the people that have caught 22 from Fish USA and 100 for anybody that's entered a fish. And we got those two that will show at the end of the video. But the real challenge here is like spread the word, get more people signed up for the event so we can raise more awareness and raise more money for Mission 22. But let's also set the goal of this being the biggest number, largest entries ever, which I think it already is, but let's make it a ridiculous number. Let's catch 22,000 plus fish, and that'll really give me something to go to sponsors with and be like, look how much interest there is. Give me a kayak to give away. Give me a paddle to give away. Give me a motor to give away. And just so you guys know, if you look in the description box of this thing, I already have quite a few prizes listed. And so the grand prize right now is the Old Town Autopilot 120 that I just did the review video on. It's that actual boat. And then we've got a bona fide kayak, at least one. We've got some other stuff that I can't read that like I talked about with the speech right now, but you guys can see it on the screen there. It's well worth the minimal amount of investment. But more importantly, when you catch those fish, and again, I'm going to fall on the sword and say I haven't done a good job of this myself, post a picture to Fishing Chaos and then share it to your social media. Just that little drip is raising awareness and letting people know that this thing is going on. And let's make it the biggest number of fish ever entered into a single catch photo release event ever. Because I think it already is, but even if it's not, we still have the rest of the year to get there. So let's blow it up, and I'll do the best I can to make it bigger. So now that I've said that little sales pitch, let's go to the questions. Sorry,
I wonder if we can break Fishing Chaos with the number.
That'd be awesome. They didn't
awesome,
think about it. Like it just rolled over and went to an asterisk or something.
Like just glitched out, right?
I mean, but honestly, how awesome would it be like if we had paid attention to that from the beginning and we ended up with 100,000 fish, you know, which I think is totally doable if you focus on that from the beginning of the season. But yeah, man, let's hear what the folks got to say. Let's see some questions.
So over on the Chad Hoover YouTube page, you have quite a few questions. Like, how do they just get involved? So all I have to do is get involved in Catch 22. Just tell them exactly how to sign up for it.
So it's really simple. You go to Fishing Chaos and you click on the tournaments button, or you click on club and find KBF, and then click on the tournaments button and just scroll down until you see that Catch 22 logo. And then there'll be a register button there, and you just sign up. I'm not requiring membership for this. Obviously I would love it for you to become a KBF member, because that helps us support what we do for the community and our overall operating expenses and things like that. And I don't do Patreon or any of those other things on my channels. So I feel like if I can give you a value proposition where you get more back than you pay, then I'm not really asking you to help per se, but to help yourself with a crazy awesome deal, which I feel like the KBF membership is one of the best deals in fishing. You spend $25 for AmBASSador member, you get $65 in gift certificate. You spend $50 for premium so that you can compete in championships, and you get $65 in gift certificates as well. So that AmBASSador deal is a smoking deal. You know what I mean? You get $25 in Fish USA gift cards back for your $25 purchase. Then you get another $40 in gift cards from our other sponsors. And by the way, now that the season is resetting, I've got 3 more sponsors that are about to kick in for the membership. And so when your membership auto renews, if you set up subscription, you automatically get the newest benefits. And so we're just going to keep trying to, my goal is to make it $100. You spend $25, you get $100 in stuff you'll actually use, not some, made up crap bag of lures and stickers and some, and an ugly hat that you'll never wear kind of a deal, but like a true value. So you just go to Fishing Chaos. I'll put the link in in all my YouTube videos, there is a link in the description box. So any YouTube video of mine since the beginning of the year, there's a link to the Catch 22 challenge right in the description box. That'll make it easy.
Exactly. They wanted to know, one of the anglers wanted to know if I mean, obviously, you're going to do this again in 2023.
Yes.
Yes.
I am not going to do the 22 challenge where I go to 22 states. Are they asking what am I going to do in 23? Because I already know.
Are you going to do it again in 2023? That's the catch 22. Yes.
So I'm going to do the catch 22 again in 2022 because the catch 22 is not about 2022. It's about the fact that 22 veterans a day commit suicide in the U.S. And so this year is really the formative year. The goal was always figure it out this year, get the word, spread the word, get people familiar with it, and then next year would be the big one. The next year would be the one where hopefully we can have a $100,000 check that we're given to a veterans advocacy organization or a bunch of $10,000 checks to different organizations that we're using a very, very, very high level system to vet. There is a program that vets not-for-profits, and we're making it's a transparency program. And the Mission 22 stood up to that, and that's why we picked them. But we're also looking for other ones to make sure that the money goes to the right place. And then obviously we want to turn Fish Ops into a premium brand that is a for-profit brand, but at the same time, 25%, at a minimum, 25% of our proceeds will go to veterans advocacy. And if you look at a lot of the things like benefiting veterans, it's anywhere from 1% to 5%. So we've made a major commitment right out of the gate to do something similar to what like Tom's or Bombas socks or one of them do. Like if you buy a pair of socks, they give a pair away, or like if you buy a tree, a company plants a tree. And, for me, the idea is that we're going to focus on veterans, or what I refer to as military heroes first. But there will be a significant portion of that covers homeland heroes. I don't think we should forget the homeland heroes. And I was trying to figure that out the other day. How do you differentiate? I saw a shirt that had, nurses, doctors, fire, police, all that. And they had military was one green stripe. And I don't like all the military being lumped into one category, but I also don't like forgetting about the other public services. So we're going to actually put together a series of shirts and merchandise where it shows the homeland heroes, which are all of the folks serving here, and then the military heroes, which serve and represent all the branches that serve both here and abroad. So, yeah, man, I'm excited about it. And I've worked with quite a few organizations to help me get here. And all of this is just momentous. I'm still working with Behind the Lines to, focus on the mental health aspect. We're working with the police department in Dallas to run a charity event there next year. And we've also used the momentum from this has gotten some attention on some of the things that we lobby for as KBF for kayak anglers' rights that has actually pushed a couple of agendas, like getting rules rescinded in states where we wouldn't take tournaments before because of this. This is honestly one of those things where when people see that you're doing good and you're putting good out there, they want to help you on not only on the charity tournament side, but also on your regular tournament side, because they believe in what the community is doing. So, yeah.
Another question was, if you enter Catch 22, does that disqualify you for Rookie of the Year?
No,
it shouldn't. It's a completely separate event.
No, Rookie of the Year is based on series. You can be a Rookie of the Year if you haven't fished that series before. So, no. And the Catch 22 challenge is also a qualifier for the national championship, because the rule for the national championship is all you have to do is catch a fish and enter it into a catch photo release tournament. So if you're down to the wire and you're asking yourself, oh man, how do I qualify for the national championship? This is yet another avenue. You're doing something for a good cause, and you're learning how to catch, photo release, and enter the fish into that system.
That's correct.
And you got a chance at winning some juicy prizes too. So
yeah. I mean the Facebook channel is doing. I'm sorry, the YouTube channel is doing very well. They've got a lot of different things. I mean, we're gonna have to go through later on and start answering questions through here.
Well, I'll go back on the YouTube channel too once this is not live anymore, and I'll jump in there in the real comment section, not necessarily in the chat, but I'll jump in there and answer a bunch of the questions as well.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that they're
and for those of y'all that have been around for a while, that talk to me on a regular basis, you're part of the Ambassador series. Feel free, if you're in the chat, to answer a lot of those questions and help us out, because I can't necessarily get to all of them while we're live. But yeah, go ahead. Give me another question, Randy.
They love the outdoor evangelist tag. That was actually pretty good.
Oh, thanks.
Looking over here. Sorry, take me a minute. I have to look all the way to the other side. What are the plans for the salt and freshwater tournaments?
I don't really have any plans for a saltwater tournament anymore. We tried that. We threw a lot. We lost a lot of money chasing the KSS, the Kayak Saltwater Series. But here's what I will tell you we'll do. In fact, I was on the phone today with the events coordinator for Gulf Shores, Alabama. So we're going to take a rally, probably going to be affectionately referred to as a redfish rally down there. But we're going to do the KBF rallies. And one of the locations is going to be Gulf Shores.
Awesome.
And it's because you can it's an awesome beach area. It's less expensive than Pensacola and Destin and some of the other places in many cases, but it's also got some freshwater lakes right there. So we really could do a redfish, greenfish kind of a thing for fun. And at these rallies, I want to do seminars and giveaways and demonstrations and rigging clinics and things like that. And I want fishing to be a part of it, but I don't want it to be a tournament concept. I don't want it to be so intimidating that your new angler that's never, fishing a tournament before is intimidated by being there. I also want to start layering in some of the safety stuff, some of the, instructor certifications and some of those things. Hey, if you come to this event while we've got all the people there, let's knock out some of those things as well. So, yeah,
it's the best.
We're definitely going to do something.
That's the best opportunity to get new ones, new anglers.
Two saltwater events planned for next year so far. We're definitely doing Gulf Shores, Alabama, and we're definitely doing Ocean City, Maryland. And the reason that I picked those two destinations is like Ocean City is kind of centrally located on the East Coast. It's mid-Atlantic, and the Gulf Shores is kind of, if you think of Florida as not like where Florida starts, but you go all the way down, and you think of that as the Gulf Coast, it's about in the middle. It's about as in the middle as you can get. And it's, like I said, it's got lots of camping opportunities, lots of lodging opportunities, lots of places you can, primitive camp, you can trailer camp, you can tent camp, you can stay in a hotel, you can stay in a condo, a lot of Airbnbs. Yeah. It's just a good location. And you can also spread out inland, and you don't have to necessarily be right on the beach. And you can get into some really cool stuff. So
you have another question. When is next year's schedule going to come out?
Next year's schedule is going to start coming out in probably about a week and a half, but I'm not going to do the big splash announcement. I'm going to announce the announcements as they happen.
Yeah.
Do you guys want a sneak peek tonight? You want me to just tell you some of them?
Well, I mean, they're going to love it if you can.
I'll tell you what. You guys light up the comment section and light up the chat if you want a couple of the events for next year laid out, and I will I'll go through the trail schedule that we have, the working model at the end of tonight's video. So that'll hopefully get you guys to hang out to the end.
Okay, so one more question for you. It's actually a really good question. Matt Shepard Fishing asked, membership is good for 12 months. Your membership status info will be on your Fishing Chaos dashboard, so you'll know for sure when it's time to renew. Everybody's status is completely different on when they sign up, so it's going to send them a message of letting everybody know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a lot better process.
But to quantify what Matthew said, when you go to the app and when you first open it up, the first dashboard on the bottom left-hand corner is your tournament dashboard. If you go on the left-hand side where the menu pops up, that top dashboard, that's your personal dashboard, and that'll be where you find your membership status.
Actually, you know what? We can show them. Let me show that because I have mine pulled up here.
Cool. Now make it easy.
Make it
and for
way
those of
easier.
you guys that are listening to this as a podcast, because for those of y'all that remember, we have now made this a full-blown podcast. All you're doing is you're going to the Fishing Chaos app. You're clicking on your profile, clicking on the left-hand side, and right below your name will be the dashboard. Open up the dashboard, and your membership status will be right there at the top, along with events that you're signed up for and other things that you've either done or earned. So
yeah, super easy. I mean, it's really easy. It lets you know exactly where it is.
Cool. All right. Let's do another question, and then we'll pause the questions again until the end, and we'll jump into the discussion about the AmBASSador Series Championship and a little bit of an update on the National Championship.
Man, you have started a snowball effect because they said spill your beans, dude.
All right, cool. We'll do that at the end.
All right. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out about next year's schedule. We'll see if Missouri's in there. We'll see if some other things are in there. Well, they're all saying which states are in there already, so they're already starting to
All
pop
right,
in
cool.
there.
All
Yeah.
right.
So let's talk a little bit about that ambassador series now, because there's been a lot of questions about exactly how this is kind of going to work out, and you got all this stuff out there already. You've got some things to talk about,
Yeah,
and
so
we
the
have it pulled
event
up.
page went up yesterday. You're going to have that to pull up. But basically, if you just go to, again, Fishing Chaos, click on Kayak Bass Fishing, click on Tournament, you'll scroll down. Ambassador Series Championship will be next from the bottom, one up from the bottom. It's going to be November 12th, which is Veterans Day weekend. We initially were going to have it as a 2-day event, and we decided to go with a 1-day event to let more people have an opportunity to travel on that vacation day and then have another day to get back home if they need to. We ultimately want to build this into more of a festival feel as well, more of a rally, kind of an event instead of just a tournament. But I think the way we're going to accomplish that is after this year, we're going to separate out the Trail Series Championship and the Challenge Series Championship and combine the Ambassador Series Championship and the National Championship. So the Ambassador Series Championship will be fished in conjunction with the National Championship. And that way, anybody can qualify for the National Championship. But if you're going to go fish the National Championship and you want to qualify for that extra money that's available through the Ambassador Series, then you have to go out there and support our Ambassador Series clubs. And so that's KBF trying to use our position in the industry to benefit those that are helping us grow the sport and are the foundation for how we're able to do what we do. So the Ambassador Series Championship and National Championship will go back together next year. And then the Trail Series Championship and Challenge Series Championship will be separated out. That way, when you're competing for that coveted 10th slot in the 10, that coveted Angler of the Year title, and that coveted Challenge Series Championship title, you're not competing with the larger number of people that are competing in the Ambassador Series and in the National Championship, because again, they're separated out. And I did that originally, but then when COVID happened, we had to kind of merge things together. So we're just using, now that we feel like we're good and out of the woods pretty good. We still obviously have some COVID stuff here and there, but now that we're out of the woods, we're going to put those things back the way we originally intended them.
Well, I like that because, you have the National Championship and the Ambassador Series together. That's going to make it like this massive rally already. Like, it's going to be
I
huge.
hope so, man. And it'll feel more like a festival, and it won't be necessarily that thing that's as attractive to the hardcore elite anglers that always win all the other events, because my vision for the National Championship was always to be that every man or that every angler, every person event. Right. And to be welcoming to everybody. And I don't want it to get into being the uber elite. A lot of people have said, oh man, since there's no quote unquote qualification anymore, you should call it the National Open or something like that. I'm like, well, here's the deal. It's already called the National Championship. The qualification was never really that hard. It was about learning how to use the system. It was also about having that carrot on the stick for the clubs to wave to get more people to participate in their events. And it was to give back to the clubs for supporting KBF. Well, we've taken that and shifted it to the Ambassador Series Championship, and we've made it a team focus. So we feel like that's exactly what ambassador clubs are, is it's more about that team feel and about that camaraderie thing. So here's how I look at it, though. When the National Championship cuts down to a 100-person field at the end of the day, no matter how big it is, that's the championship, because you got to get into the top 100 to win anyway. So if you've waded your way through 2 days of fishing against 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 people, and you make it to that top 100 and then you win that event, you're a national champion. I'm sorry. I don't care how you argue it. You bested one of the toughest fields assembled in kayak fishing. Is it the most elite? No. It could be, depending on who shows up, but it's the most ridiculously difficult to navigate by the sheer numbers. And that's why anybody that wins it, and this is not me breaking my arm, patting myself on the back for KBF, but if you really think about it, anybody that wins the National Championship becomes relatively a household name in kayak fishing. Mm-hmm. Everybody in kayak fishing knows who the KBF national champions are. They may not even necessarily know who the Anglers of the Year are. And I'm not saying that national champions is a bigger accomplishment than Angler of the Year, because I personally think that the Angler of the Year is the toughest, most coveted title in any sport, whether it's KBF or Hobie or Bass or Major League Fishing or, whatever. I think the Angler of the Year title is that one that the anglers recognize as the most prestigious. But that Angler of the Year title is tough, man. It's tough, which is why nobody's repeated, at least not yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We've had 2 Anglers of the Year repeat twice. We've never had anybody win the national championship twice. And I'm going to go ahead and say this, and this might be one of those things that people quote later, like they always do to like Dana White on the UFC when he says something, I'm never going to allow women to fight in the UFC. And then he's like, tonight's main event is 2 women, right? Like they put those together. So this might not age well, but I'm going to say it. I don't think anybody's ever going to win the national championship twice. It's a stretch, man. It's a stretch to have 3 days of fishing line up to where you're the superior angler to 350. 350 is one has been our smallest, but anywhere from 350 to 460 to 5 something to 751. That's just a different deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it shows you how hard it is. Matt Ball, won the first one with 300 and something people, 360, I think. Well, then you go to the next year where the field's double that with 751. Dwayne Taft wins that event. And then events have been as low as 351. So almost half that since then. But those same people didn't turn around and win those events. You see what I'm saying? So it just shows how tough that event is to win. And that's why it's the every angler, the blue collar, championship. Because anybody can go in there and put 3 days of good fishing together, get on a pattern, and win it. But there's no such thing as winning that tournament and it being a fluke, because nobody that's won the national championship has gone on to not win or place or do well in other events. You know what I mean? They just haven't. So yeah, I think it's a star maker in our sport. It really is. And I'd like to make it even bigger by getting back to the $100,000 guarantee, by getting back to, some of that stuff that put that mystique and that aura around it. And we were tracking back towards it again, and COVID kicked us in the junk. But trust me when I tell you, we're on our way back to that same level of prestige and reverence again.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the process about it, entry fees and everything else that's going into the AmBASSador series.
All right, so let me break this down for you guys as Barney style as I can. This should be written in crayon, okay? I am going to do a video screen record of how to do the team process, and we're going to actually link it up in the event. So for right now, it's pretty simple. You can follow the instructions in the event for signing up as a team. Basically, you have to have a captain. That captain adds the other people. It's 4-person teams, $230 entry fee per team. $200 of that goes towards the pot. $30 of that goes to administration. I always think it's comedy when some of the clowns come out of the woodwork to talk about administrative fees and things like that, when they don't realize that we're already over 100% payout when we guarantee these big guarantees.
Right. So
we've guaranteed $20,000 payout for the top team. We would have to get to almost 400 teams, so 1,600 people, before that payout chart would hit that same price payout. So what we're doing is we're using the payout chart similar to the trail, because the trail payout chart's 150. We just doubled it at 230, and we're taking the $30 out, but we're adding $200 to the pot let me rephrase that. I have to explain the whole thing. 4 people enter a team, or one person can enter individually. Of the money that comes in, it's 75-25. 75% of the money and all entry fees goes to the team payout, and 25% goes to the individual payout. The individual payout is more because we're trying to incentivize team participation.
Correct. So
$115 for an individual to compete with a $5,000 guaranteed first place, $230 for a 4-person team with a $20,000 first place. Now, the payout charts are already loaded, so that question shouldn't be that complicated. But basically what we did is we used the trail payouts. We're not going to pay a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th place until we get to 40 anglers on the team side and 50 anglers on the individual side. But we're guaranteeing $5,000 for first place for the individual, and we're guaranteeing $20,000. So the way that that's going to work is whatever the payout chart says, second, third, fourth, and fifth are, and then whatever it says first place is, based on the trail payout charts that we've already created, we're just going to up the difference to $20,000, and then on the individual side, we're going to up the difference to $5,000. I don't see us surpassing that, and I see, KBF probably coming out of pocket for somewhere between 17 and 22,000, and people always say, where does that money come from? It's partially from memberships, it's partially from sponsorships, and it's partially from the support we get from tourism bureaus. So it's not like we took this money and put it here. It's all part of how do we grow the sport, how do we incentivize participation, and how do we put the biggest possible, carrot on the stick. And I really firmly believe that these clubs can take that money and do good with it. And I think if one of the better clubs puts together 4, 5, 6 teams, they got a better chance to win. And then I think that that's going to help people organize better to come to this event. Because, if you take $20,000 home between 4 people, everybody made $5,000. And by the way, everybody that enters the team tournament is also competing as an individual without a separate entry fee.
Right.
So I want to clarify that. If you pay the individual entry fee, you're more than welcome to do that, but you're only competing for the individual payout. If you enter the team as 4 individuals paying the $230, you're also competing for the individual payout. So in theory, it's a pretty good shot that the team that wins is going to also hold the person that wins the individual. So now that team's going to take home $25,000, and how you do your business internally to the team is up to you. But really, it's going to be $5,000 to the individual, and then $4,000 $5,000 per team member of the $25,000 or $20,000. So if you're the top angler, you're pushing $10,000 in your individual winnings.
Yeah.
But it's 4 people, 5 fish, and it's the best 5 fish from the whole team. It's not just the best 1 fish from each person.
Right.
It's the best 5. Now, I really wish I had thought about this before, because I was having a conversation with Amanda from Real Tournament Management, and she asked me this question. She wasn't actually suggesting that we do it, but she asked me the question. And when she asked the question, I was like, damn, I wish I had done it that way. So I think next year we're going to do 4-person teams, top 10 fish. So then it's not about 1 person running away with 5 good fish, right? It's about a team concept where everybody has to contribute, but it'll be 10 fish instead of 5. So I'd also be interested in hearing y'all's feedback on that. What are your thoughts on going 10 fish for a 4-person team versus 5 fish for a 4-person team? So I think it just
in my mind
more challenging.
Yeah, in my mind, 10 fish is perfect for a 4-person team.
A little more fair, you know what I mean? So,
and everybody gets to be involved in it a little bit more. You can't just have like 1 person run away with it.
You could.
You
could. Yeah.
But it does make things a little bit easier for a whole team format to be included in it. The event, all the information is on Fishing Chaos right now. You can go in there. You can find out where the eligible waters are, where they're going to be the boundaries. Schedule is up there for the entire event. And then it talks about the competitor eligibility and all of the event rules and minimum lengths. It's just like a normal KBF.
It's pretty much all there. The one thing that is going to be a question that I'm going to have all of y'all's help in answering is this. Hey, what is the eligibility requirements for my people? And here's the answer to that.
Right.
It's up to you. It is up to the individual tournament directors, the individual club leadership to decide who do they send to this event. All we're going to ask them is if they're part of the club. And then if they win, we're going to validate it with you that they're part of that club. That's all it really boils down to. They're going to have to sign up under a club name. We're obviously going to be sending the list out before the event. There was a question about eligibility deadline. I'm moving the eligibility deadline all the way to November 1st. We had arbitrarily made it August 1st and moved it to September 1st. And I'm like, there's a lot of clubs that have championships up to October. Let's just make it November 1st. And then if the club wants to put that bar, hey, everybody that finishes here, we'll send you. But if they want to lock it in earlier, they can as well. So November 1st will be the deadline for eligibility. And then we're probably going to leave registration open until I think we put an arbitrary date in there for this event, but I'm going to get with Amanda, and I think we're going to end registration the Thursday before the event, which kicks off on Saturday. So
yeah, so you're talking Thursday, November 10th. Registration
November
ends
10th.
for all events 11:59 on November 10th.
Exactly. Yep.
No, I mean that is just it's going to be tremendous, and it's going to be really interesting to see the clubs and who they send, and just the individuals that are going to get the opportunity to go from those clubs. It's going to be really exciting, and an individual can go by themselves if they want to.
Man, and I honestly, I know this is going to sound like a made-up Cinderella story, but when you're a promoter, event organizer, you're always hoping for that fairy tale. I'd love to see a club that's got like 15, 20 people, and they scratch together a 4-person team and come down here and win the damn thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then again, I'd also like to see a club that's been around for 15 years or 10 years or whatever it is, and they've got 300 members, and they send 5 teams down here. But so I'm all about like who should win it, and then I'm all about the Cinderella story, the underdog story at the same time. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So you definitely got some questions about this, and you did talk a little bit about it. So, Corey B. Okay, this person only fishes the Bassmaster, so not up to date with what KBF does. How does it work? That is a whole nother question. We will bring that up. It's a complicated one because there's a lot of entities and different ways you can get involved with.
Yeah, but I've literally got 5 getting started videos on my YouTube channel. And we also have an article on kayak bass fishing under KBF News under the blogs called Getting Started Tournament Fishing that explains everything on our website. And so pretty much everything you need to know you can find. And then on the drop down at the top of the website, there's a Tournament Fishing 101 article on there that explains how KBF works as well. So it's too much to try to explain in the podcast. The Cliff Notes version is we have a challenge series that's a month long. That is our state challenge series. We have a trail series that's our national touring trail. We have a pro series that's basically one tier above that's combined with it. And then we have championships at the end of the year. One of those championships is culminating all of the ambassadors.
Oh, somebody actually just tried to call him.
Yeah, somebody just tried to call me. So the Ambassador Series Championship is designed to be the culmination of all the ambassador clubs, events and best anglers coming together, which is why that'll be partnered back up with the national championship next year. And then the idea is that in years to come, we can move that national championship around. Like I'd love to move it to the spring one year, like we originally had it. And in some cases, I wouldn't even mind moving it into the summer. I think it'd be kind of a cool event to have the national championship in the summer,
So your other question was, and it's actually a really good one. So there is no qualification for the Ambassador Series this year, correct?
The qualification is up to your Ambassador Series leadership. So the leadership for that Ambassador Series determines what or if the qualification is. The only qualification from KBF is that before you fish the event, you have to be an Ambassador member. And to fish on the team, you have to represent an Ambassador Series. That's it. That's the only requirement.
Super easy. And for $230, your team can go out there.
Yeah. And fish for $20,000. I'll let one of y'all do the math on what that ROI is. Because it's the highest in the industry across all genres. What else we got, Randy?
Oh, how many clubs are associated with the KBF?
Right now, I think officially about 86, 87. We've got some clubs because we haven't done a good job of tracking it. There's been some questions about information, the rosters, and all that other stuff, which we've been trying to clean up. We were as high as, I think, 116 at one time. And then there's some clubs that said, I'm taking my ball and going home, and I don't want to play anymore because they didn't like Fishing Chaos, or they didn't like this or didn't like that. And I don't really negotiate with terrorists, so I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, right. I tried to make this for you. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. This is not some kind of mafia. Like, if you don't like it, you don't have to. And then there's a lot of clubs that just do their own thing, which, man, I got to say, I just really appreciate and respect. But if they want to call themselves an Ambassador Series and wave the KBF flag just enough to be legal to send a team over there to fish for some money, they can do that too. You know what I mean? But we
Well,
do
and
offer a lot of benefits for
yeah,
our ambassadors, like working on sponsorships for them, providing them insurance for events, you know, liaison with them to get money for events, things like that. And so, again, we know what we bring to the table and what we offer. So I'm not going to hit anybody over the head with a hammer to give them things, if that makes sense, you know? So,
correct. Yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right?
yeah, you can even spray it with a water hose.
uh, I'm looking over here. And actually, yes, there's actually the Florida Club is part of the
Yep.
KBF, so you are definitely correct in asking that down there, whoever that was.
Yeah, there should be like 30 Florida club teams coming, man. Y'all got enough
Right,
people in there. Y'all
right.
should
There
come on over to
should be.
Alabama.
No, so that's we're doing a pretty good job running through it. Any chance in the future that it can be done so close to nationals, maybe in the spring and
What?
nationals on the fall? I would say probably the Ambassador Series, Championship
Oh,
Series.
they're going to be combined next year.
Yeah.
And from then on, they'll be together. So you can kill two birds with one stone by coming to both. What will be separated is the Trail Series Championship and the Challenge Series Championship. Those will be separated out. And then, of course, we still have the Pro Series Championship next year, which is a $50,000 guaranteed first place payout, which will be. Am I announcing stuff now? I guess I am. Which will be
I think you just did.
March 16th, 17th, 18th weekend, Lake Hartwell. I haven't made that official announcement, but I mean, hell, I'm going to go back and answer a lot of these questions. We said we were going to answer. We're going to talk about the trail a little bit. So we got 4 minutes left if we're going to stay under an hour. Let's go ahead and talk about the trail a little bit.
All right, let's do it, man.
I know Christy absolutely hates when I do this, and that's fine. The fact of the matter is I know that people want to know. And so I will say this is unofficial. So don't start texting me, asking me what the dates are so you can book your hotel room yet, which is always the reason that we hold off so long, is because as soon as we announce something, people start blowing us up, which is funny because they can always find that, but they can't find stuff written on the website, which, you know, is always. Anyway, so here we go. We're kicking the event off this year with the Trail Series Championship, or Trail Series kickoff, the 10 Invitational, and the 10 in Florida. Same weekend, last weekend of January. It is not Kissimmee this year, but it's a lot of, if not all, the same waters. So I'll have to wait to announce that officially. But yeah, same waters, different city. Florida, somewhere in the Kissimmee area, but where you don't have to deal with as much traffic and fishing the same lakes. So that'll be announced probably in a week. So I'm not really holding much back there. Going back to Murray County, going back to Lake Murray in Columbia in the last weekend of February. After February, it gets a little screwy because in most months I have two things listed, and it's whichever one we work out, and whichever one we don't work out, we're going to do the other one the following year and flip-flop them. And
Gotcha.
So one of the things that we've started doing is we've started booking Ambassador Series events where we get the money for the Ambassador Series that's nearest that location, pay them to run the event, pay for the event, and then use that as a foundation to come back there for the trail. So, for example, we're going to do that this year with Santee Cooper because we started in Santee Cooper, but they had some changes over in their leadership, and we couldn't get them to work with us for a while. So then they started working with Hobie. We didn't want to step on that relationship, even though we were, working with them before that, because that's just not how you do business. Let Hobie do their thing, let it all work out. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to get a rotation where we do Hartwell 1 year, Murray 1 year, and Santee Cooper 1 year. Because I think when we go to a trail that we shrink down to a smaller trail, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have three of the events in one state. So we're just going to rotate those events around, have the Pro Series Championship 1 year, Trail Series, and then Ambassador Series, and just kind of rotate the love around those states, or around those lakes in that state. So Santee Cooper,
that's a good list
next year. Far. But so Florida, we're kicking it off, same basic lakes, same weekend, January 29th to February 1st, I think. We're rolling into then Murray, the last weekend of February. March, the middle of the month, we're doing the Pro Series Championship on Lake Hartwell, like we talked about. End of the month, we are going to be doing either something in the Southwest, in somewhere in southern Arizona, or we're going to be doing something in Texas, Oklahoma, and then whichever one of them works out first, we'll do the other one the other month. So in other words, it'll be Oklahoma or Arizona.
Gotcha.
And March, and whichever one isn't, that'll be the other one. So it'll either be Arizona in March and Oklahoma in April, or vice versa. And if I had to guess, I'm leaning more towards Arizona earlier and then Oklahoma later. So we've gotten a lot of movement in Oklahoma, getting past a restriction that they've had for kayak fishing. And thanks to everybody's support and thanks to, what we've been able to accomplish with KBF, we've gotten to the point where we've got some leverage and we can go to these, government entities and basically explain to them how what they're doing doesn't make sense. It's unfair to kayak anglers, show them where the money's at, show them that their logic that kayak anglers don't pay the same thing to use the water or the boat ramps are silly, because boat ramps are built with the general fund money, and the general fund is paid for with license sales. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you pay a boat or a kayak. And then really, in most states, if you put a motor on your kayak, you got to register it, and you got to pay the exact same thing to register it. That's a moot point. So anyway, so we'll be going there, and it'll be the first time that we get rid of the kayak restriction while doing a kayak fishing tournament in that state.
That's awesome.
So end of that month, we're coming back to Potomac River in Stafford County, Virginia. That event has been so good. It's been really well attended, and then okay attended, then really well attended, then okay attended. But I just think it's one of those fisheries that is just a great fishery to challenge people. That tidal fishing isn't, for the faint of heart in some cases, but it's also world-class fishing in that area. And it's centrally located on the East Coast, the upper part of the East Coast, and it just makes for a good event that's close enough for the Northeast folks to come down to, and the folks that fish in that event can run up to the Northeast and get their 4 events that they need for the Angler of the Year chase. So, yeah, that'll be end of April, and then May gets a little bit more complicated. I can say that we're going to try to finish up in California. I'm working with James Snyder out there to get that locked in. Looking at the next to the last weekend or the last weekend in June for the Delta instead of Clear Lake. We've done Clear Lake for the last 4 or 5 years, but we're thinking of moving it to the Delta. And then we're going to do one of 3 lakes right now in the Northeast, either that same weekend, the last weekend in June, or the weekend before that. And then again, May is so muddy right now that it's difficult to say without really frustrating a bunch of people and pissing a bunch of people off if it doesn't turn out to be what it is. But we're looking at everything from St. Clair right at the peak time to St. George or Lake George to Cayuga to a lot of stuff in the Northeast. May is the reason we haven't released everything yet, because it's a little bit tougher to nail down. But if you paid attention to what I just said, I said the last event's going to be June. So the goal this year is to come out in January, have 8, possibly 9 events that are double events. You can get 2 trail events in at each location, and then to lock in the field and have a good break before the Trail Series Championship and the Challenge Series Championship for folks to compete in other series, to do their thing. We might even squeeze in a team event or a rally during that dead band. But yeah, I'm really trying to dial the trail down, make it more competitive by having less events so that there's not these events that have 35, 40 people at them. And that all of them have really good a turnout because we have less events. So therefore more people have to go to each event if they want to be competitive. So that's the goal. That's as much as I think I can say right now. We are coming here for the national championship next year. I can go ahead and say that for the to the Huntsville area. We will have pretty similar boundaries to what we have for the AmBASSador Series Championship this year. So if you want to come pre-fish for next year's national championship, the AmBASSador Series Championship and the AmBASSador Series Championship individual tournament are both really good events to come pre-fish for next year's national championship. I'm just saying.
Come check it out and take a look.
Yeah. Spend a little time.
So we've hit over our mark, but you have 2 winners you need to announce.
Oh, that's right. So, guys, real quick, and then I'm going to end on this, and I appreciate y'all all tuning in. Love y'all, and I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. But we drew a $500 winner for the Catch-22 Challenge. And go ahead and bring that gentleman up there, Randy. That is Mr. Robert Harris. And I want you guys to go look. He's sitting in second in Florida. Yeah, he's got 498 inches, and he's in second. If you look at that, he's got a 24-inch fish at the top, the next two 24-inch fish. And then I think he's got 10 more fish over 23 inches. You got to go to Fishing Chaos. Go to the Catch-22 Challenge and just look through all those fish. So congratulations to Mr. Robert Harris for taking home the $500 gift certificate. Look, man, shoot me a DM on Facebook, on Instagram, email me, kayakbassfishing@gmail.com, or just shoot me a text at 757-348-2232, and I'll get you taken care of for that $500 gift card.
And if you can't get a hold of him, get a hold of me, and I'll put you in the right direction.
Yeah. And then the next one is Mr. Padilla. And he got 7 fish entered so far, Albert Padilla. So, again, this is for a $100 Fish USA gift card. This is a drawing that I did for anybody that's entered a single fish, which also counted the people that had caught 22. But I just did 2 randomizers. Mr. Padilla's was pulled for the $100 gift certificate. So, congratulations. Thanks again to Fish USA for stepping up and helping us kick this thing off. Every 22nd, we're going to draw for the Catch-22 Challenge, and every 5th, we're going to draw for the Catch-5 Challenge with Fish Ops. So, guys, be sure to do me a favor. Head over to Fishing Chaos. Check those out. And if you haven't done so yet, please consider joining KBF. Help us make this community as awesome as we can possibly make it. Lobby on behalf of our rights and simultaneously increase our ability to communicate safety, youth education, and things like that. That you'll start to see us, and you've started to see us over the last couple of years, but you're really about to see us delving a lot more into with our blog posts and our video content and our clinics and things along those lines, because that really is where the future of kayak fishing lives.
That's right. Thank you again very much, man. Appreciate it for all your hard work.
Thank you, brother. As always, a great show, and I will see y'all next week.
All right. See you next week, everybody. Have a great weekend and get some tight lines. Enjoy your fishing.
Hey guys, I'm Chad Hoover with Kayak Bass Fishing. If you're looking to get in on the exciting sport of kayak fishing yourself, check out kayakbassfishing.com. Yeah! Boom! Oh, yes! What a freaking code. So whether you want to find out more about competitive kayak fishing and kayak fishing tournaments, or just looking to learn more to make yourself a better angler, head over to kayakbassfishing.com and join today.